Have you ever noticed that moment when you catch yourself thinking, not the thoughts themselves, not what you are thinking about, but that strange moment when you suddenly realize, I am thinking right now. There is a voice in my head, and I am aware of it. In a mind that produces thousands of thoughts every day, this moment of recognition almost seems impossible to find. But the wisdom of Advaita Vedanta explains, this is not a random moment. This is the doorway to freedom itself. In fact, this reveals everything about the nature of consciousness, the illusion of the separate self, and the recognition that what you truly are has been here all along, hidden in plain sight. Today, I am going to show you what happens when you observe your thoughts without becoming them. This contains a profound understanding that will shift how you experience your entire inner world, but only those who stay until the end will recognize what is actually being pointed to here. If you see it, you will know you are not the mind. Right now, as you hear these words, there is mental activity happening. Maybe thoughts about whether this is true. Maybe thoughts about what you need to do later. Maybe resistance, agreement, doubt, curiosity, and something in you knows these thoughts are present. Something is watching. Something is aware. This awareness is so ordinary, so constant, so completely woven into every moment of your existence that you have never stopped to ask what it actually is. But this is the most important question you could ever ask. Because if you are aware of your thoughts, you cannot be your thoughts. The one who observes and the thing observed are not the same. The mirror does not become the reflection. The screen does not become the movie. The sky does not become the clouds. And you do not become your thoughts, yet your entire life has been lived as if you were. When a thought appears saying, I am not good enough, you do not see it as a thought. You become someone who is not good enough. When a thought appears saying, I need to figure this out, you become someone who is confused and seeking answers. When a thought appears saying something is wrong, you become someone who is broken and needs fixing. The thought and your sense of self have become so entangled, so merged, that you cannot tell where the thought ends and you begin. And this creates suffering. Not the suffering of physical pain or external loss, but the suffering of being at war with your own mind. You spend enormous energy trying to control what you think, trying to have better thoughts, more positive thoughts, more spiritual thoughts. You resist the thoughts you do not want and cling to the thoughts you do want. And the more you try to manage your mental state, the more exhausting it becomes. The more you fight with your thoughts, the louder they seem to get. Here is what the sages discovered. The more you try to control your mind, the more restless it becomes. The more you resist a thought, the more persistent it grows. The harder you work to fix yourself through thinking, the more broken you feel. This is not a flaw in your practice. This is the nature of the trap itself. You are trying to solve a problem from the position of the one who believes they have the problem. And the one who has the problem is itself just a thought. The ancient teachers of Advaita Vedanta were not philosophers theorizing about consciousness. They were looking directly into their own minds. They sat in deep inquiry, not to achieve something or become something, but to see what was actually true. And what they discovered changed everything. When they looked for the self that was supposedly thinking all these thoughts, the self that was supposedly suffering, the self that was supposedly seeking peace, they could not find it. What they found instead was awareness. Pure awareness, silent, still, unchanging, always present. And this awareness was not suffering. It was simply aware of the suffering. It was not anxious. It was simply aware of the anxiety. It was not the thoughts. It was simply aware of the thoughts. Like the sky that remains unchanged, no matter what weather moves through it. Think of your thoughts as clouds. Some are dark and heavy, filled with worry or fear. Some are light and pleasant, filled with hope or memory. They drift through the sky of your awareness, appearing and disappearing, constantly changing form. But the sky itself never becomes the clouds. The sky is not disturbed when a storm passes through. The sky does not celebrate when the weather is clear. The sky simply is. Always open, always present, always the same. You are like this sky. Your thoughts are like these clouds. And when you recognize this, when you see clearly that you are the awareness in which thoughts appear rather than the thoughts themselves, the entire structure of psychological suffering begins to dissolve. Not because the difficult thoughts stop appearing, but because you are no longer trapped inside them. You are the space in which they move. You can test this right now in your own direct experience. Notice your breathing. The breath moves in and out without your conscious control. You do not decide each breath. It happens on its own. Now notice your thoughts in exactly the same way. They arise on their own. You do not choose what thought appears next. It simply comes. A thought about something you need to do. A thought about something someone said. A thought about this teaching. You did not author any of these thoughts. They appeared spontaneously in your awareness, and something knows they are there. This knowing is what you actually are, not the thoughts, the knowing itself. This awareness that is aware right now is not a thought. It is what thoughts appear in, and it has been here your entire life, quietly present beneath every experience, never changing, never leaving, always aware. Look for the thinker right now, not the thoughts, the actual entity that is supposedly producing all these thoughts. Where is this thinker located? You might say in your head. But when you actually look inside your head, what do you find? Maybe sensations, maybe pressure or tension, maybe nothing in particular. But you do not find a thinker. The thinker is itself just another thought. The thought I'm thinking appears in awareness just like any other thought, and something is aware of even that thought. So what are you? You are the awareness in which all of this appears, not a personal awareness, not awareness that belongs to you like a possession. You are awareness itself, and this awareness is what the sages called the self, not the small self, the personal self. The self made of thoughts and memories and preferences, the true self, the unchanging witness, the consciousness that knows all things without being anything. Modern psychology teaches you to observe your thoughts, to manage them better, to notice negative patterns so you can replace them with positive ones, to become more aware so you can think more effectively. And this has value. But Advaita points to something far more radical. What if you are not the thinker at all? What if you are the awareness in which thinking happens? And what if this awareness is already completely at peace, regardless of what thoughts appear in it? When you live identified with thought, you are constantly seeking the right answer, seeking clarity, seeking peace of mind, seeking to fix yourself, improve yourself, become a better version of yourself. But you are seeking in the wrong place. You are looking in thought for freedom from thought. You are using the mind to try to escape the mind. And this cannot work. It is like trying to put out a fire by adding more fuel to it. The seeking itself is the problem, not because seeking is bad, but because the one who seeks is itself a construction. The seeker is a thought claiming to be an entity. When you believe you are the seeker, you reinforce the very structure that creates the sense of incompleteness. You are incomplete, therefore you seek. And the seeking confirms that you are incomplete. Round and round it goes. But when you recognize yourself as awareness, the seeking stops. Not because you found what you were looking for, but because you realized you were never actually lost. Awareness is always here, always present, always at peace. It does not come and go with your mental states. It is not disturbed by difficult thoughts or elevated by pleasant thoughts. It simply is, the unchanging background against which all thoughts appear and disappear. You are not the thoughts appearing in awareness. You are the awareness in which those thoughts appear. This is the heart of the teaching, not a belief to adopt, not a philosophy to study, but a direct recognition available in your own experience right now. You are aware. This is undeniable. Thoughts are appearing. This is undeniable. And you are aware of the thoughts. This simple fact reveals everything. If you are aware of something, you cannot be that something. You are the awareness itself. Watch what happens when anxiety appears in your mind. A thought arises. What if this goes wrong? And if you are not observing, if you are completely identified with thought, you immediately become the one to whom this terrible thing might happen. You are suddenly unsafe, vulnerable, under threat. More thoughts rush in to support the first thought. Evidence from the past, imagined scenarios about the future. And within seconds, you are completely absorbed in a mental world of worry that has nothing to do with what is actually happening right now. Your body responds. Tension appears in your chest or shoulders. Your breath becomes shallow. Your hands might clench. And all of this reinforces the belief that you are in danger, that the anxious thought was telling you the truth about reality. But it was not telling you the truth about reality. It was creating a reality in your mind. And you believed it because you did not recognize it as a thought. You took it to be you. But if you catch the thought as it arises, if you observe it before you become it, something completely different happens. The thought, what if this goes wrong, appears in your awareness. And you notice, there is a thought about something going wrong. The thought is here. You are aware of it. In this simple recognition, a space opens. The thought is an object. You are the subject observing the object. The thought might still create some sensation in the body, some tension or unease, but you are not drowning in it. You are not lost in the story it is telling. You are the awareness that knows it is present. And this awareness is completely at peace. It is not threatened by the anxious thought any more than a mirror is damaged by reflecting an image of fire. The mirror reflects the fire, but is not burned. The awareness knows the anxious thought, but is not made anxious by it. This is the freedom the teaching points to. Not freedom from thoughts, but freedom from the belief that you are the thoughts. This is what it means to be the witness. You are not trying to change your thoughts. You are not trying to make them more positive or more spiritual or more peaceful. You are simply seeing them for what they are. Temporary appearances in the permanent awareness that you are. Like waves on the surface of the ocean. The waves come and go, rise and fall, but the ocean remains. The depth of the ocean is undisturbed by the activity on the surface. Like reflections in a mirror. Images appear and disappear, but the mirror is never changed by what it reflects. When the object is removed, the reflection vanishes completely, leaving no trace on the mirror. In exactly the same way, thoughts appear in the mirror of your awareness. They are known, they are seen, but when they subside, they leave no mark on the awareness that knew them. Awareness remains as it always was, clear, empty, ready to know the next appearance, like clouds moving through the sky. The weather changes constantly. Storm clouds, clear skies, rain, sunshine. But the sky itself is never altered by any weather that passes through it. The sky simply allows it all, holds it all, remains itself through all of it. You are this sky, and your thoughts, your emotions, your experiences are the weather moving through you. Perhaps the peace you have been seeking was never hidden in achieving the right mental state. Perhaps it was never about finally getting your thoughts under control or becoming a person who thinks better thoughts. Perhaps the peace was always here, in the awareness that knows all mental states without being any mental state. Perhaps what you are looking for is not in the future, not in a better version of yourself, not in any achievement or realization. Perhaps it is here, now, in the simple fact of being aware. You can rest in this, not as a practice you do for 20 minutes in the morning, but as a continuous recognition throughout your day. Again and again, you notice, I am aware. Thoughts are appearing. I am not the thoughts. I am what knows the thoughts. This is not something you create or achieve. This is what you already are. The recognition simply removes the covering, the identification, the belief that was obscuring it, and what remains is what has always been here. Silent, still, free, the awareness that knows all things without being anything, the witness that observes all experiences without being any experience, the consciousness that is the ground of your entire existence, unchanging in the midst of all change, peaceful in the midst of all turbulence, free in the midst of all apparent bondage. This is what you are. Not the thoughts, not the thinker, not the troubled mind seeking peace. You are the awareness in which the mind appears. And when you know this, truly know this in your direct experience, everything shifts. Not because the thoughts change, but because you are no longer identified with them. You are free. You have always been free. You simply forgot, and now you are remembering. But this remembering is not a one-time event. The habit of identifying with thought is deep. It has been running your entire life. Every time you believed a thought without questioning it, every time you took the mind's story as reality, you strengthened the pattern. And so the observation must become continuous. Not as a burden, not as another task on your spiritual to-do list, but as a natural returning to what you are. Throughout your day, thoughts will grab you. You will become lost in them again and again. You will believe you are the worried one, the angry one, the inadequate one, the one who needs something to be different. This is normal. This is the momentum of conditioning. But each time you notice, each time you catch yourself and recognize I am not this thought, I am what is aware of this thought, the identification loosens, not through force, through seeing, through the gentle, persistent recognition of what is actually true. Pay attention to the moments between thoughts. Right now, as you follow these words, thoughts are arising, but they are not continuous. There are gaps, brief spaces where one thought has ended and the next has not yet begun. What is present in these gaps? Not blankness, not absence, but a kind of alert stillness, a presence that is aware but not thinking. This presence is always here, but your attention is usually so absorbed in the content of thought that you never notice the background. The gaps reveal the background, and the background is what you are. Notice also how your mind creates problems right now. Maybe a thought arises, I do not understand this, or this is too abstract, or how will this help me with my actual problems? The mind is doing what it does, creating doubt, creating resistance, creating the sense that something is missing or unclear. But you are not the mind creating these thoughts. You are what is aware of the mind creating these thoughts. And from this position of awareness, you can see that the thoughts are optional. You do not have to believe them. You do not have to engage with them. You can simply let them arise and dissolve while you remain as the unchanging awareness that knows them. This is what the sages discovered through their own direct investigation. When they sat in meditation, when they turned attention inward, they did not find a solid self at the center of experience. They found awareness, pure awareness. And this awareness was not created by their practice. It was revealed by their practice. The practice simply removed the distractions that were covering it, like cleaning dust off a mirror. The mirror does not need to become reflective. It already is reflective. The dust just needs to be wiped away. In the same way, you do not need to become aware. You already are aware. The identification with thought just needs to be seen through. And it is seen through not by fighting it or suppressing it, but by observing it, by seeing it clearly for what it is, a habit, a pattern, a repeated movement of consciousness that creates the convincing illusion of being a separate self. And as you observe without judgment, without trying to change anything, the pattern naturally weakens. Not because you are forcing it to weaken, but because it is sustained by your belief in it. When the belief is withdrawn, when thoughts are simply seen as thoughts rather than as truths about what you are, they lose their grip. They still appear, but they do not define you. They do not control you. They do not create the suffering they once did. In Advaita, this is sometimes described as discrimination. Not discrimination in the ordinary sense of judging or excluding, but the capacity to discriminate between what is real and what is unreal, between what is permanent and what is temporary, between what you are and what you are not. Thoughts are temporary. They come and go. Awareness is permanent. It is always here. Thoughts are objects appearing in your experience. Awareness is the subject that knows all objects. Thoughts change constantly. Awareness never changes. When you can clearly discriminate between these two, when you can recognize in your direct experience that you are the unchanging awareness rather than the changing thoughts, you are established in what the teaching calls self-knowledge. Not knowledge about the self, but the self knowing itself. Awareness recognizing itself as what you are. And this recognition is liberation. Not liberation as a future achievement, but liberation as the seeing of what has always been true. Notice your sense of being a self right now. There is a feeling of I am here, I am this is me. Where is this feeling located? If you pay close attention, you might find it diffused throughout your body, a subtle sense of presence. Or you might find it more concentrated, perhaps in your head or chest. But when you look very carefully, this feeling of self is also just another sensation, another appearance in awareness, something you are aware of. Therefore, it cannot be what you are. What you are is what knows the feeling of being a self. This might feel disorienting. If I am not the self I have always taken myself to be, then what am I? The question arises from the mind's need for definition, for a concept to grasp onto. But what you are cannot be captured in a concept. You are not a what. You are the knowing itself, the awareness that is aware of all concepts without being any concept. And this awareness is not empty nothingness. It is the fullness of presence, the aliveness of being without the limitation of being any particular thing. This awareness is your true nature. It is what you have always been beneath every thought, beneath every experience, beneath every version of yourself you have ever believed yourself to be. And it is completely at peace, not because it has achieved peace through effort, but because peace is its nature. Like water is wet and fire is hot, awareness is peaceful. It cannot be otherwise. It is not disturbed by disturbing thoughts any more than the ocean is made of salt by the salt water that makes up its waves. The waves are salty. The ocean is water. The thoughts might be disturbing. The awareness is peace. You can verify this right now. Bring to mind something that usually upsets you. A worry about the future, a regret about the past, a judgment about yourself. Notice how the thought creates a feeling in your body. Tension, perhaps. Heaviness, contraction. But also notice, you are aware of all of this. The upsetting thought is here. The uncomfortable feeling is here. And you're aware of both. What is the quality of this awareness? Is it upset? Or is it simply knowing what is present, whatever is present, with perfect equanimity? The content might be upsetting, but the awareness of the content is not upset. It is like a mirror reflecting a disturbing image. The image appears disturbed, but the mirror itself is completely neutral, completely at peace, simply reflecting what is before it without being changed by it. This is what you are. The mirror, not the image. The awareness, not the content. And when you recognize this, when you rest as this, you discover a peace that does not depend on having peaceful thoughts or favorable circumstances. A peace that is always here, because it is what you are. This is the freedom Advaita points to. Not freedom as a distant goal. Not freedom as something you will achieve after years of practice, but freedom as the recognition of what you already are right now. The recognition that you are not bound by thoughts, because you are not thoughts. You are not damaged by experiences because you are not experiences. You are the awareness in which thoughts and experiences appear. And this awareness is inherently, permanently, unconditionally free. So keep observing, keep returning to the simple recognition. I am aware. This awareness is what I am. The thoughts are not what I am. The thoughts are what I am aware of. This distinction seems small, but it changes everything. It is the difference between being trapped in the prison of your own mind and being the free, open space in which the mind appears. It is the difference between suffering and peace, between bondage and liberation, between forgetting and remembering what you have always been.